If what you are able to give is 2 hours of volunteerism, that's great. If what you're able to give is $5, that's great. Just imagine if every adult in Polk County took on that philosophy. I'm going to give what I can. It would be, most problems would be solved. My father experienced something when he was about 9 or 10. It was a family reunion. He'd never been to this house before. It was in rural Iowa. And it was the first time he ever witnessed poverty firsthand. He thought that it just existed in other countries. And so when he saw his own family members that were poor, he said that there really wasn't enough food to feed everybody. He was hungry on the way home, and he asked his parents about that situation. And they said that even in Iowa, there are people that don't have enough money to be able to afford food. If you have $5, $10, $20, or if you're able to volunteer in some way, just imagine if every adult in central Iowa gave what they could or volunteered the time that they could. Imagine the impact. So he was really wanting to drive home the point that don't ever think that even if all you have to give is $5 or 2 hours, don't think that's insignificant. Because if everybody gives what they can, it'll make a huge difference. He was never somebody that would say, I'm a community service kind of person. I'm not sure he even viewed himself that way, but his life would indicate that he was. And he ended up having the opportunity to be a West Des Moines police officer, which that was his long-term career, which I think was special to him because West Des Moines was his hometown. He grew up in West Des Moines, went to Valley High School, actually lived the vast majority of his life up until the time that his life ended in West Des Moines. So that was not just serving the community, that was actually serving his hometown community. And I think that was very special to him. And he would make sacrifices in the short term all the time for the long term. And that's something that he taught me as a teenager. And I was a little skeptical at first because I thought I viewed my dad as someone that just never treated himself to anything. But as I started to get a little bit older, I started to understand why he had this viewpoint, and I started to understand the value behind it. So what he taught me, and sometimes taught others, was the value of saying no in the short term to be better off in the long term. And that was key because in order for him to be able to be so generous, he did have to build up some resources over the years. So that was key, and he taught me that, and I'm glad he did. And then what I just saw from his example with being a police officer, if it was snowing and it was projected to be 10 or 12 inches of snow, he still had to go out and do his job and patrol the streets. Or if it was 102 and humid. And I knew it was a dangerous job, and I knew it could be a thankless job. This man did his research more than anyone I have ever known in my life. I am absolutely certain he scrutinized DMARC like crazy. And then, so as far as I'm concerned, if DMARC was good enough for him, it's good enough for me. He was absolutely convinced that DMARC was very responsible with the money, that they tried to keep their costs low, and that, so there were many reasons why he could have taken his money elsewhere to try to feed people, but he felt like DMARC was the best choice. As a Christian man myself, I honestly believe this organization has been blessed for showing that faith. They've put the mission first, and I think they've been rewarded for that. Moving to this facility was fantastic. It just provided more space, more of everything that they needed. And I think that the people that come in contact with DMARC, they come away feeling like, these people are 100% mission focused. It's and you don't always find that, but I think that really shines through, and I think that's another reason why they've been able to so far keep up with the demand that has been huge. It appeals to people that they're supporting something that was founded by a veteran, a police officer, and someone who is just a regular working man, dedicated so much of his time and money. I think that there's a certain purity to that, and I think people really respond to that. And I would just say to all those faith communities that have been giving for so many years, they deserve a big pat on the back and a big thank you, because without them, this isn't possible. Well, I hope people take away that, my father was just a regular guy, served in the Air Force, worked as a police officer, put in his time, and then made an incredible impact. So if he can do that, others can do that too. It's nearing $1 million total for the life of the Hunger Challenge. It could potentially be met this year. And I would be, if my father had lived long enough to see that, it would have it would have been one of the proudest moments of his entire life. And so I hope I can make it happen on his behalf. And then after that, I hope I live long enough to see 2 million. And if it goes the way I want, someday my son will be sitting in a chair like this.